All right, so for today's webinar, we are going to go over the pick, pack, and ship for orders. We do have Renee Perry on the call. She's one of our senior consultants. So we're going to walk through this together. I am Lori Walsh. I am a partner here at the Fourlane side, and we do appreciate all of you who have joined today. Now, let's go ahead and get started on our what we're here for today. So what is our sales order fulfillment? Or when we say we want to talk about pick, pack, and ship, well, that's what Renee is going to help us. So let me go ahead and change this over to her, and that way she can get us started on our discussion today. All right, Renee, it is all yours.
All right, thank you, Lori.
You're welcome.
And can we see my QuickBooks file at this point?
We can.
Excellent. All right, wonderful. So, yep, we're going to talk about the pick, pack, ship functionality inside of QuickBooks, and it is technically called the Sales Order Fulfillment Worksheet. And to get started, if you've never used it, you will need to have Enterprise with enhanced or advanced inventory. And so that lives over here. And in my advanced inventory, we have something called site operations, and that's where we can turn on the sales order worksheet and connect our mobile devices, which are Android-based devices, and we'll show those on the screen here in just a little bit. So the whole process begins. Well, why are we doing this? In my company, I sell things, right? So I start with my sales orders, and then I want to be able to send some kind of information out to the people in my warehouse who do not typically touch QuickBooks, and let them know that I've got some orders that are ready to go out, and I need you to pick them and pack them and get them shipped. So this is what will allow us to have that process where they can fulfill these orders. So our first order of business is to go in and create our sales order as we normally would, and I've done that ahead of time. I think we all know how to set up a sales order. Here we go. And so I've just put a couple of things on the sales order. Now, obviously, if I'm picking, this is inventory parts, right? I can't pick non-inventory parts because they're not real. They are real, but they're not touchable. So inventory parts only. So I've put a couple of them on here. I have multiple warehouses turned on, so I've also chosen my site and bin. And you'll see right here, I've already sent it for pick. I'm going to walk you through how I did that though, but it does update the sales order to let us know where it's at in the process. So
Now,
I've
Renee,
created my sales order. Yes.
Yeah, I have a question real quick. So what happens if we have to change it at this point? Can we change it once it's been sent?
I would not.
Yeah, okay.
I would create a new sales order or a secondary sales order and send it for pick.
Awesome.
If I needed to make a change.
Okay.
All right. So we'll save and close that. There we go. And now it's available to us up here in Customers, Sales Order Fulfillment Worksheet. And this would be a list of all of my open sales orders. And I can narrow them down to specific inventory sites. I can specify whether or not they're fulfillable or not. So what does that mean? That I have enough items in stock to fulfill my sales orders, to fulfill my picking. And then I can narrow down by days. So here's our sales order. I'll click it there, and then over here, I tell it what I want to do. So what I've done, I sent it for picking. Okay. And when I sent it for picking, I was able to assign a picker in the warehouse. And you would be able to do that by adding a vendor that's a very specific type of vendor. And this one's a little hidden, not always easy to find, but warehouse user is the type of vendor that would need to be set up as. And these are built in. Once you turn this on, that type of vendor is built into the system. So you would just assign that. Okay. So I've sent this one to pick, and now it's sitting over here in the pick tab. And you can see I have some others out there, but this is the one we're working on. At the same time, I can also come over here and back over in the pick tab, view the pick list. I could print the pick list if I wanted a paper list to send, but that's not the way we're going to do it today because of the magic of technology. So there's my pick list. If I wanted somebody to do this manually, pick it and then fill in how many they picked, we could do that right here. That's certainly something we could handle, but that's not what we're going to do. So let's flip over here. Can you see this thing which looks like a phone?
Yes, that says
Okay.
cycle count, pick and pack.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So this is an Android device. It's called a Zebra device, and it has the addition of having a scanner attached to it. So this is one of the ones that's approved by QuickBooks. And I've installed the app. It's free on the App Store. It's called QuickBooks Desktop. And this is what it looks like when I come in. So I've logged in as myself, Renee P, and we can see here that I have a pick assigned to me. So I'll just click right into that. And then 136, this is the one we were just looking at. Okay. So here are my 2 items that were on that list. Now, I could install this app on a regular Android phone and it works just fine. I just wouldn't be able to scan barcodes. But because I've chosen to use this Zebra device, I can scan my barcodes that are in QuickBooks. What's nice about that, even if I don't want to, you know, count every single thing with a barcode, if I scan a barcode in the warehouse and I'm going to scan the wrong one, okay, it's gonna fuss at me. So there, I've scanned the wrong barcode, and it says that item is not in the list of things you're supposed to be picking. Try again. So that can be very helpful with the human error. So I'll go back and scan that first one. That should be correct. There we go. All right, and so it's come up, the right barcode. I put in how many I'm picking. I can see how many I'm supposed to be picking. So I'm going to go ahead and put that to the right count. All right. And then mark that to pick. All right, now I'm going to go on to the next one. And I'll scan that barcode. And I've hit the wrong one. Wonderful.
It's nice to see what happens though, right? So that they can see that as well.
Oh yeah. Because I mean, we're gonna make a mistake, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to know that. Okay, so this one I was only supposed to pick 1 dozen. There's my 1 dozen. Now every time I pull the trigger on the scanner piece on this device, it'll up this count by 1. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if I was counting 100 of them, I don't want to do that. That's a lot of poking, and you can just type it right in the app. But yeah, so that works that way. So I'm going to go ahead and push pick. All right, I've picked my 2 things. So I'm going to go ahead and I could save it if I'm not done and I had to stop. I could just, you know, I'm looking for more parts or whatever. I could go ahead and update the QuickBooks. But I'm done picking, so I'm going to click finish on that. And that completes the pick for me. Okay. Now, back over here in QuickBooks, let's go back over there, refresh, and we can see that it's picked. And I could update the sales order, which would, and okay, very good. Update that. There we go. Okay, so the next thing I need to do, and I'll show you what that looks like over here. See now the sales order, if I was the salesperson or the customer's called in, I can come back and go, oh yeah, it's being picked. Right now, it's just, you know, about to head out the door. So that helps us understand that. So the next thing I have to do is send it for pack. I'm gonna come back to the dashboard. There's my sales order showing that it's been picked. I'm here, and I'm gonna go ahead and send it for pack. Now, let me stop right there. Why am I doing this in 2 steps? This depends on you and how your business runs and what your warehouse looks like. So if I have people who are assigned to pick and other people who are assigned to do packing, the process I'm doing right now allows me to move this down the line and assign to different people if I need to. If I'm the only person in the warehouse, then I could have done an express pick pack, which is both functions all in one step, and both would have been assigned to me. But I wanted to show you how this goes the long way. I'm going to send it for packing. Okay. And the screen is popping up and it's asking me to assign it. I'm going to send it there and send it to the device. Okay, and now it's sent for pack and it shows up in my pack tab. And then back over here on my screen, we'll go ahead and refresh that. Now I should have a pack assigned, and there it is. Okay, so what's it asking me to do? It's asking me to take these things and put them in a box and then tell it what size box I did. So I'm going to put my 3 things here. Okay, again, why am I having to count again? Because what if these were big things and I was sending them in separate boxes? I could create separate boxes for each of the items I'm packing at. Here we're going to just pretend these are small items. I'm going to put that in a package. Okay, you can see it's been added to our package. And I'll go ahead and add this one. All right, and we've added. And now I can create the package. So this is, you know, the usual. How much did the package weigh? 12 pounds. What's the size of my package? 10 by 10 by 8. I'm making things up. I don't know if that's a real box size. I haven't worked in a warehouse in a long, long time. There we go. All right, and then I'm going to say OK. All right, and now you can see my package with the 2 items on it. And if I needed, remember I was saying I could create another package if I wanted to, but I've put all the items into the one box. So I'm going to go ahead and push finish on that. And there we go. Back to my tasks. And we'll refresh that. All right, so back at the ranch. Let's refresh this. And it now shows that it is packed. And we can go ahead and update the sales order, view our packing slip, print our packing slip, which of course, I can literally print the packing slip onto the template that we've set up. All right. So there we go. Now that pack is finished. Let me go back over here. And this is the piece that I'm going to, fingers crossed, is going to behave for me. So it doesn't always, and I change computers. So trust me, normally it works, but there's my package. Beautiful. And we go to next. There we go. It's open up the shipping manager, which should be connected to a FedEx account. And then it'll go ahead and let me print my shipping label. Once that's done, and I'm not going to make you sit through that, but once that is done, there we go. Okay, so it's lost my connection to my actual FedEx account. So I won't make you sit through all of that, but trust me, you can connect your FedEx account, UPS account, and USPS account, and it'll print labels for you. So it would send that information like we were just seeing over to this wizard and then print my label for me. Okay, and then once I've done that, I can come over here and mark this as shipped. All right. And okay. So that one's finished. And I think I went too fast through that button because of what you missed me doing. And let's go back over here to the customer center. The last question, and I shouldn't have gone that fast, I'm sorry. The last question when I marked it as shipped was, hey, do you want to go ahead and invoice it since you've shipped it? Because yes, you do. That's how we deplete our inventory inside of QuickBooks, right? Is to invoice that sales order. And I pushed yes, and it created the invoice for me. So there's the finalized invoice with all of my parts and pieces now out of my inventory and into my income.
And it closed out the sales order, which is nice, right? So it did all of those steps where we could see it in real time, right, in QuickBooks, which is nice. Did have two questions. Okay. One of them is, do we have to use sales orders?
Yes.
Because that's the, so if we are using estimates, which the question was, if we are doing estimates and going straight to the invoice to utilize this, would we need to convert that estimate to a sales order? The answer is yes. And the reason for that is so that we can get that product out the door before it's invoiced, right? Because that's, as Renee said, right, that's where our inventory is depleted, or, you know, where it's actually leaving. So we want to make sure that we're setting that up accurately. So the sales orders.
And I will say, yeah, exactly. And I would say that on, you know, when you're dealing with an estimate, you don't have to send the whole estimate to a sales order if you don't want to. Just send the shippable parts to the sales order. So if you have a service, you know, or something you're not ready to ship with, go ahead and just do part of the sales order from that estimate.
Now, let me ask you this, Renee. So what if let's say that our sales order is these two pieces, right? These two inventory items, but we don't have enough to ship. What happens?
Yep. So it's going to do what you're used to, actually. We'll just make a new one real quick. So I'm going to put a new sales order. We'll just grab an item. I'm going to choose this site just because there's only two there, so that'll do it for us. So I'm going to put 3 on here, but I'm going to choose a site that I know only has a couple. That one there. Boom, boom, boom. Should be good to go. Okay. So let's save and close this. All right, number 137. We'll save and close that. And we'll go back to our sales order fulfillment. Okay, so notice over here, there's 137. It's one we just did. And it's open, there's one item, but there's multiple quantity of that item. But my fulfillable, instead of saying yes, says it's partially fulfillable. So what are we going to do? We'll send it for pick. Okay, they've ordered 3. The fulfilled quantity is 3, but again, if I look over here, see it's partial. I know I've only got 2. So I could either tell my picker, just go ahead and fill the 2 and change that right here. right? Client wants what we have on hand, we'll ship the rest later. Awesome, I can do that. So I can tell my picker to do 3, but let's also assume maybe I wasn't doing my job very well that day and I missed that. So I just went ahead and sent it anyway. So we'll go ahead and send that out there. All right. Well, that's sent to my pick. And I'm going to go, instead of going back to my phone, I'll just go right here. So I go out to pick it. Oh, oops, you know what? There's really only 2 there. Now my status is partially picked, which is what I would assume would happen. So I'm going to come up here and update my sales order. I've got serial numbers turned on. Sorry, I've got all the things turned on, so it likes to fuss about all of it. So technically, I've completed this pick, even though we couldn't pick all the things. I've completed the assignment of this pick. Does that make sense? Not the sales order.
Because you've done the one item, which is
I've
what
done the
the
one
task is.
task. Yeah, exactly. So now my status is partially picked, and if I go back to that sales order, if I had the right, oh yeah, because I haven't invoiced it yet. So I fulfilled 2. So there's my fulfilled, right?
Mm-hmm.
My status of partial. They've ordered 3, so I've still got 1 sitting on back order. Cool. I just go send it through again when it's ready to be filled.
So in this state, I mean, in this case, we would have to manually invoice it, or did I just miss the one to say to go ahead and invoice?
Yeah, no, you didn't miss it. So I'm back on the dashboard. I only picked it. I haven't packed it. I could go ahead and skip the pack part and just mark as shipped, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. And do I still want to do it? Yes, I do. I don't recommend it, but yes, I'm gonna. And then now it says the invoice was created.
Perfect.
Okay, and if I go back now to my sales order, that was 37. We've invoiced in, oh, that shouldn't be true. I screwed that up. Sorry, that's my bad. It's not invoiced in full. Unclose that. That was my fault. Go to that invoice. 571. I did invoice them for 3, but I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have skipped that. There we go. Okay. Now we should be proper. There we go. That's how I should have done it. I'm sorry, I apologize. I just went too fast, as always, because I'm used to flying through this stuff,
Right.
and I shouldn't do that. I invoiced the 2 I sent, so I've still got the one on back order on my sales order.
Awesome. So we have another question. So the question is, are these individual items or are they part of an assembly? And if they are assemblies, is there a way to automate the build assembly? And there is a way to automate it, but not in QuickBooks. We have created a custom. But the first part of that, are these individual items or are they assemblies?
These are individual items, but it wouldn't matter if they were individual items or assemblies as far as the sales orders concerned. It's just a question of whether or not if it was an assembly, would the finished good be available to sell? And the answer is not if you don't have any on hand and you haven't run a build assembly.
Right.
That's a good question, though. Build assembly, I adore them. They drive people crazy. I love them.
Right. Yeah, me too. And as far as the automation goes, right, there are ways. It's just not in the QuickBooks product. And this is not linked to the build assemblies. This is just getting the inventory or assembly item out the door.
Exactly. Or tracking what we need to build, which is also where a sales order comes in handy. So that's a really good question. Sales orders are great for inventory or minor manufacturing workflow, right? To know what we need to do ahead of time.
And we have used sales orders to do just that to help with kind of a scheduling. So if that is something that you need assistance with, reach out to Fourlane because we can definitely help you with that too.
Yeah. The magic of the sales order.
Right. All right, we have about 3 minutes left. Let me check the questions real quick. Make sure we don't have any more. Nope, it looks like we are up to date on the questions, so that's amazing. Yeah, so is there anything else you want to add, Miss Renee?
Well, yes, I did. Actually, I do. So by turning these things on, we also have some other things available to us that can be done over in this little app that we were looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And the one of them is PO fulfillment, which, you know, your mileage may vary. It's not my favorite thing, but one of my favorite things in the whole world, coming from inventory background, is the cycle count.
Mm-hmm.
And the ability to create a cycle count in QuickBooks and assign it again to a person in the warehouse who does not need to touch QuickBooks, and have them start counting the things I've asked them to count. You can see on this one I started and then I stopped. I haven't counted that yet. Same thing with the ability to scan the barcode, and then it fills it in and sends it back to QuickBooks when I've finished with it. And then a person of responsibility inside the office would see that those have been counted, and any discrepancies would show up, and that person would automatically be able to just create the inventory adjustments directly from that count. Very, very simple. So I do love this feature.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, well, we have about 2 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead, unless you have something else, I'm going to go ahead and we can just thank everybody for being here today. It's always so much fun to see how many people show up and participate in the webinars, and today's questions were fabulous. So that is nice there also. So I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. And again, check in with our YouTube and our Facebook channels just so you can get connected with the QuickBooks.
Mm-hmm.
Fourlane.
Have a good day.